But what we need to do is we need to be a little bit more responsible. And that's the thing, is I think the responsibility factor is where we need to go. And, excuse me, I want to basically say, look, okay, we know how you feel about the Jews, we know how you feel about blacks, we know how you, everybody has their hatreds and their prejudices, but don't let that get in the way with some reporting that's very valuable. Don't let that get in the way of the things that are the most important, and that is getting the truth out there and keeping the empire honest. I mean,
I think sometimes the mistake can be made that, oh, well, the mainstream media, well, they're full of lies. That doesn't mean that the alternative media is 100% true.
Right. I totally agree with
right.
you. Yes. Yes. The mainstream media gets it right 75% of the time, maybe even less now, because they're paid to basically report what they report. I can tell you right now, independent media is empirical. Okay? It's all based on whatever somebody wants to spread, or whatever rumor they want to spread. And I've seen that. I've seen that transpire. We've seen those things happen. You know, I can tell you right now that the whole idea about the truth movement and all these other movements being a part of some right-wing conspiracy started on the internet first with a bunch of people who were basically trying to defend Obama. But the truth is, if Obama's committing criminal activity, Obama should also be put on the plank, and same with Cheney and everybody else. Go ahead.
Would someone like to comment on the extent to which COINTELPRO is in fact polluting the independent media?
COINTELPRO. Go ahead.
You need to Google the term astroturfing. AstroTurf, it describes the effort by some entity. It could be a corporation, it could be a government institution, it could be an academic institution, anyone who trains people to go out and flood websites. In fact, I mean, you were talking about Israel. I came across a news story a few months ago. The Absorption Ministry in Israel has recruited 1,000 Jews to, quote, flood blogs and websites and the YouTube channel whenever they see a quote, anti-Israel trend popping up.
Right.
And so, you know, when I see this incredible preponderance of these viciously racist and anti-Semitic comments, I wonder, who is the person who's actually making this? Because people on the internet, they have this false anonymity.
Sure.
They're all nameless, faceless. On my YouTube channel, I say, you can say anything you want about me, but you need to have the cojones to show your fucking face to the world.
Right.
It's the false anonymity of the internet is allowing people to create these fractions.
Sure.
And discredit the whole movement.
Well, and give me that. I have to point out something else too. Fox News was trying to create that war on Christmas. Do you remember that? They were trying to create that, and it didn't take hold. But imagine if some group like Fox decides to start some sort of a bullshit story like the war on Christmas. What kind of people who have money behind them on the internet can start some falsehood or some rumor that isn't true, and people take as fact? You see, and this is where we need to be careful, because this is where we're going to see our internet go away. This is where we're going to start seeing Homeland Security coming after people like this. And I'm not speaking from paranoia, I'm speaking from knowledge. Now, I pointed out a number of things with my shows. You've seen them transpire here at the Ground Zero Lounge. For those of you that have been attending every show, you've seen that when my concerns raise, the topic tends to go that way. And it's not by accident, because I do a lot of searching of blogs, I do a lot of searching of things, and the concerns are there. Yes. In fact, Above Top Secret is a website that I go to every once in a while. Their blogs are already talking about the dark side of conspiracy theory, and how people who are, quote, conspiracy theorists or independent news sources online are getting basically railroaded by people who produce hate and bigoted statements. They want to rack us all in with Fred Phelps and his gang. They want to rack us all in with all these other people because of the Hitlerian anti-Semitic viewpoints and all this other stuff. Yes, we can criticize Israel for their bullshit. There's nothing wrong with that. And anyone who calls you anti-Semitic for criticizing Israel is an idiot. But I can't for the life of me go after people, and let me tell you this much, I can't go after people's belief systems and step on them, because belief systems are fragile and they're important to people. You listen to them, and if somebody with a tattoo on their arm from being in a concentration camp was told that Hitler was framed, you would break their fucking heart. Be a little sensitive here, regardless of how you feel about people. Regardless of how you feel about their skin, or whether or not they're Jewish or Middle Eastern. You know, people are human beings, right? And we don't want to give them any fodder to come and throw back at us while we're trying to keep the empire honest. You know, it's like we've got the media in bed with the president, in bed with the government. They've been in bed ever since the Bush administration. Why do we want to get in bed with Nazis? Why do we want to get in bed with all these fucking controversial, idiotic, hurtful issues when we could be talking about things that are happening to us right now? Okay, that's my point.
Well, and I think we've already seen tonight that it got heated once we started to talk about these things, because these things are emotionally and racially charged. So if you say, I don't believe someone landed on the moon, that doesn't hurt someone's feelings. That doesn't make someone say, my fucking grandmother died
on the moon.
Auschwitz.
Right.
But again, to go back to, and it really hit me, to go back to the tattoo I saw on the back of this guy's neck on the bus, 100% white. It's all of these things that just divide us. And I look at that and just like, we're ripe for the picking.
Oh, sure we are.
We're being played like a fiddle, and we'll all destroy each other at the drop of a hat because someone will say, he said this about you, and let's get them.
Scapegoats are always, yes.
And it'll destroy us all.
That's right.
Ultimately.
Go ahead, quick.
In terms of people with the tattoos on their arms from Holocaust survival, how many of those do you think are still alive now? Hundreds, maybe?
There are a few of them. I mean, but still, I mean, I just know that it's just an insensitive thing. There are a lot of insensitive things that we do to
Hey,
people.
some of us are tattooed just from living in this frickin' society.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to wrap up here soon. Any final comments from you, Michael Goodspeed? We want to hear what you have to say.
Well, you made an observation in your opening that anti-Zionism, or people who purport to be on an anti-Zionism campaign, that it's a front. Well, it's frequently a front, but it's certainly not always a front. You know, someone like Professor Norman Finkelstein, who lost his tenure at DePaul University and ultimately was forced to resign, he would never make a statement like Hitler was free, I guarantee you, but he's a Jewish man, okay, and he never says that the Holocaust never happened, but he refers to something that he calls the Holocaust industry. And it is a valid issue.
I can agree with that.
And certainly, I mean, Israel's grotesque human rights record, that is a valid issue. And well, this is the reason why people are so sensitive and defensive over being called anti-Semites. And when that term comes up, I think people are numb to it, and they are then going to go on the attack. That's why, I mean, if a lot of people heard the show, I would not envy you for you going through your email box. I would not believe, I mean, Aaron knows he's on talk radio.
I did a show about Jews before, and I got told that I can't be taken seriously because I side with the Zionists. I don't side with the Zionists, okay? You know, people are going to think what they're going to think about me, and I don't care because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, and I feel what I'm doing, and I think I'm doing it from a mainstream position. And a mainstream position meaning I'm being in the middle of the road here. And what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that anyone is going to accuse me of being anti-Semitic or anti-anything because I think I'm being fair. I think I'm giving a fair shot here. I mean, how much balls does it take to get up and say what I said about Rentz's Hitler comment and bring you on my show when you write for Rentz, and there's some other things about Rentz that you're not telling the audience, and you just had a phone conversation with him.
I didn't have a phone call.
Well, he talked with you about some things.
Right.
So you're in contact with Rentz all the time, right?
I consider you both friends, and you're both good guys, and you're both allies. You're both good for the alternative media.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you know, it's true. But see, I'm not above, I mean, they'll criticize me. I'll criticize them if I think they're out of line.
Well, Clyde, I think that, and I remember from working with you 7, 8 years ago, people are unbelievably fucking presumptuous. And my advice to people listening on the internet, people here, stop reacting so quickly. Stop making assumptions about people. If Clyde does a show about the moon landing, don't assume that that's what he believes. If he's doing this show about anti-Semitism on the internet, don't assume that he's a Zionist. Don't presume to know what my intentions or beliefs are. And there's this one fucking theme that runs through all the fanboys in the alternative media. They say, who can we trust? Oh, we need to know who can we trust. Exactly.
Nobody, that's right.
Because when you say, who can I trust, you're really saying, who can do my thinking for me?
Right.
That's all you're saying.
Good, give him a hand.